Imagine ordering a new family home in Australia, then discovering that most of it is being manufactured inside a factory in China, packed for an ocean journey, and assembled on a suburban block in less than 3 weeks. That is no longer a futuristic concept. Australia's largest volume home builder has completed 2 3-bedroom houses in Melbourne's western suburbs, using prefabricated panels and modules made almost entirely overseas. From the moment the concrete slab was ready, the homes reportedly reached completion in only 20 business days. The main structure, including the walls and roof, became weatherproof in just 4 days. The project took place at Stockland's Mount Atkinson estate in Truganina, around 22 kilometers west of central Melbourne. Metricon partnered with a modern construction company called Synex to test whether an industrialized building system could work inside the processes of a major Australian home builder. About 90% of each house was completed off-site before the components reached the development. The foundation remained a conventional slab built in Australia, but much of everything above it arrived as a coordinated kit of wall panels, floor sections, windows, fittings, and a complete bathroom pod. This does not mean a finished house appeared from China and was simply dropped onto the land. The real process is more interesting. The panels take roughly 4 weeks to manufacture in a factory. Shipping them to Australia can require about another 4 weeks. Local workers then prepare the site, pour the slab, receive the components, lift them into position, connect the structure, complete services, and finish the home. The 20-day figure describes the construction period from the slab to completion, not the entire journey from factory order to handing over the keys. Even with that important distinction, the speed is remarkable. Metricon says the 20-day schedule was about 1/3 of its normal construction timeline. On the site, the most dramatic phase lasted only 4 days. Cranes positioned the large wall and floor sections, while workers connected each piece in sequence. The roof went on, the building reached lockup, and the bathroom was already functional because it arrived as one pre-built module. Carpets had been measured and cut before shipment. Wall panels arrived with windows installed and planned spaces for the kitchen. The finished houses do not look like shipping containers or temporary cabins. Both contain 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and open-plan living spaces. They were designed to achieve a 7-star energy rating and stand on familiar slab-on-ground foundations. Metricon says the homes are virtually indistinguishable from conventionally built houses. That matters because prefabrication has often struggled with an image problem. Many buyers still imagine a cheap portable building, but this pilot is trying to prove that factory construction can produce a normal suburban home with the appearance, comfort, and durability Australian families expect. Australia has a powerful reason to examine this approach. The country is trying to increase housing supply, while construction costs, labor availability, planning delays, and financing pressures make new homes difficult to deliver. The national target is 1.2 million new homes by the middle of 2029. Official projections released in 2026 suggested that delivery may fall well short of that goal and arrive more than a year late. At the same time, affordability has continued to deteriorate, with households spending more income on rent and requiring longer to save for a mortgage. That makes construction speed more than a technical curiosity. Every month saved on a building program can reduce financing exposure, weather delays, temporary accommodation costs, and uncertainty for developers and buyers. Traditional house building is highly dependent on work happening in the correct order. A crew may wait for another trade to finish. Rain can stop outdoor work. Materials can arrive late. A missing component can delay several later stages. Factory production changes the sequence because multiple parts of the home can be created simultaneously while the site and foundation are prepared separately. Inside a factory, workers do not need to rebuild the workplace around every house. Tools, materials, jigs, lifting equipment, and inspection stations remain in fixed positions. Components can move through repeatable stages, similar to a manufacturing line. Walls can be assembled horizontally at comfortable working heights rather than built piece by piece in changing weather. Measurements can be checked before shipment. Waste can be collected and reused more easily. Supervisors can inspect the same production process repeatedly instead of traveling between scattered suburban sites. The greatest advantage may be predictability. A conventional building schedule can look simple on paper, but become complicated when weather, subcontractors, deliveries, and site conditions collide. Prefabrication moves a large share of that work into a controlled environment. The builder knows when panels should leave each station, how many people are required, and which inspections must happen before packing. Standardization can expose problems earlier. If the same design is produced hundreds of times, each completed home provides information that can improve the next one. China is central to this story because it has spent decades developing enormous manufacturing ecosystems. The country already produces building materials, fixtures, appliances, electronics, vehicles, batteries, and industrial equipment for global customers. A prefabricated house combines many of those supply chains. Steel framing, panels, windows, plumbing modules, flooring, cabinetry, and packaged components can be coordinated near large factories and ports. The challenge is not merely making one wall cheaply. It is manufacturing thousands of different pieces so they arrive in the correct order and fit together on another continent. Sinex says it spent years waiting for Chinese manufacturing to reach the standard required for Australian homes. The company describes its system as a hybrid approach rather than a fully volumetric house. Most of the building uses panels, while the bathroom arrives as a three-dimensional module. This balance can make shipping more efficient because flat sections occupy less space than transporting entire rooms filled mostly with air. The bathroom remains modular because waterproofing, tiling, plumbing connections, and fixtures benefit from being completed and inspected in one controlled location. The system also keeps important work in Australia. Local crews still prepare the land, pour the foundation, operate cranes, assemble the structure, connect electricity and plumbing, install remaining finishes, inspect the building, and certify that it meets local requirements. Metrocon's chief executive has emphasized that the materials may be manufactured in China, but the houses are assembled in Melbourne under Australian standards. The company presents the method as an additional pathway, not a plan to eliminate traditional construction or replace the entire local workforce. That distinction is important. Housing shortages cannot be solved by one technology alone. Land must be available. Roads, schools, water, electricity, transport, and drainage must support new communities. Planning approvals must arrive. Buyers still need financing. Builders must manage warranties and long-term maintenance. A faster house does not automatically create a finished neighborhood. Modular construction addresses one part of the system, how the physical building is manufactured and assembled after a project is approved and the site is ready. Cost is another unresolved question. Faster does not always mean cheaper. Factory production can reduce labor hours, waste, delays, and rework, but overseas manufacturing introduces shipping, insurance, port handling, storage, customs, cranes, specialized design, and coordination expenses. A damaged panel could be difficult to replace quickly. Exchange rates can change. A project that works for hundreds of identical houses may not work for a buyer demanding a completely unique design. Metrocon has said the method still has some distance to travel before it becomes fully economically viable. Scale could change that calculation. Sinex says it has built only 8 residences using its system so far, but it has another 200 on order and is discussing a further 300 with builders and developers. Producing a handful of houses requires design work, testing, approvals, logistics planning, and training that must be spread across very few units. When hundreds use the same system, those costs can be distributed more widely. Factories can order materials in larger quantities, containers can be packed more efficiently, and site crews can repeat the assembly process until it becomes routine. This is why regional areas may be especially attractive. Large cities have more builders and trades, although they also have intense demand. Smaller communities and growth corridors can struggle to find enough skilled workers for major housing programs. A factory-made system allows much of the labor to happen somewhere else, then concentrates local activity into a shorter installation period. The same trained assembly team could potentially move from one development to another, completing homes quickly without requiring every regional town to support a full network of specialized trades. Weather is another major factor. Australia can experience heat, heavy rain, storms, and regional conditions that interrupt outdoor construction. Building walls and modules under a roof protects materials and workers. It also allows production to continue while a distant site is wet or being prepared. When the components arrive, the objective is to close the structure rapidly so the interior is protected. The Truganina pilot reaching a weatherproof stage in 4 days demonstrates why that sequence can reduce one of the biggest uncertainties in residential construction. Quality control may ultimately determine whether buyers trust the system. Speed creates attention, but a house is expected to last for decades. Connections between panels must remain strong. Waterproofing must survive. Windows must seal correctly. Plumbing and electrical systems must be accessible for repair. Materials must handle Australian temperatures, moisture, pests, wind, and fire requirements. The pilot homes reportedly met Australian standards and achieved a strong energy rating, but larger adoption will require consistent results across hundreds or thousands of properties. not only two carefully monitored demonstrations. There is also a question of design flexibility. Industrial production works best when products share common dimensions and components. Buyers, councils, and developers often want different facades, floor plans, roof shapes, materials, and neighborhood character. A successful platform must create variety without losing the efficiency of repetition. The answer may be a hidden standardized structure combined with customizable finishes. Cars use shared platforms beneath many different models. Housing manufacturers could use common wall sizes, bathroom pods, service connections, and structural systems while changing the external appearance. Financing and insurance must adapt as well. Traditional lenders release construction payments at familiar milestones on a building site. Factory-made homes shift value off-site before the structure appears on the land. Banks need confidence that components being manufactured overseas are protected, insured, and legally connected to the project. Builders need clear responsibility if something fails after installation. Buyers need warranties that remain meaningful even when materials, designers, factories, shipping companies, and local contractors all participate in the same home. The environmental impact is not automatically simple. Factory production can reduce waste, improve material efficiency, and make energy performance more consistent. Fewer months of activity on a residential site can reduce neighborhood disruption. But transporting large components across the ocean consumes energy, and materials may travel long distances before assembly. A complete assessment would compare manufacturing efficiency, shipping emissions, construction waste, building performance, and lifespan. The fastest method is not necessarily the most sustainable, but neither should overseas production be dismissed without measuring the entire system. The Australian government and several states are already looking more seriously at modern construction methods. New South Wales has announced plans to partner with industry on a modular housing facility, while federal funding has supported trials of prefabricated approaches. These programs show that the Metricon experiment is not happening in isolation. Governments, banks, builders, developers, and manufacturers are all asking whether housing can move from a mostly handcrafted process toward a more industrial model without sacrificing safety, quality, or local employment. The comparison with automobiles is useful. A century ago, cars were expensive products assembled slowly by skilled workers. Standardized parts, production lines, supplier networks, and quality systems made reliable vehicles available at enormous scale. Houses are different because every site has unique ground, planning, utility, and climate conditions. They cannot simply roll off one factory line and drive away. Yet much of a home is repetitive. Bathrooms, walls, windows, floors, wiring routes, and structural connections may benefit from the same manufacturing discipline that transformed other industries. If the system succeeds, the most important change may not be that Australia imports houses forever. Overseas production could prove the model, create demand, and teach builders which parts deliver the greatest savings. Some factories could eventually be established closer to Australian growth areas or ports, especially when transport distances and order volumes justify local investment. China's role might then evolve from direct manufacturer to equipment supplier, technology partner, or example of how building systems can scale. What happens next will matter more than the pilot itself. If the 200 confirmed orders move through production smoothly, builders will gain real data on defects, shipping times, labor requirements, customer satisfaction, and final cost. The additional 300 homes under discussion could then test whether the system works across different developers, councils, climates, and site conditions. That is the point where prefabrication stops being a demonstration and starts becoming an industry. Success would not require every Australian house to come from China. It would require enough projects to prove that standardized manufacturing can shorten schedules, protect quality, and give buyers another dependable option when traditional capacity is stretched across the country. For now, the Truganina houses are evidence of possibility, not proof of a national solution. 2 completed homes cannot erase a shortage measured in hundreds of thousands. They do show that a major builder can integrate Chinese factory production with Australian design, compliance, foundations, labor, and customer expectations. They also challenge the assumption that every suburban house must spend months being constructed almost entirely outdoors, one trade at a time. In my opinion, the most exciting part of this project is not the headline that China is shipping homes to Australia. It is the idea that house building can become more predictable. Australia needs traditional builders, local trades, planning reform, infrastructure, and more land supply, but it also needs methods that produce more with the workforce already available. Prefabrication should not replace the industry. It should become another tool, especially for regional housing, large developments, social housing, and projects where time matters. The real test will be whether these homes remain affordable, durable, easy to repair, and desirable after the excitement fades. If costs fall at scale and quality remains consistent, a 20-day build could move from an unusual pilot to a normal option. If shipping, customization, financing, or defects erase the advantages, the idea may remain limited to specialized projects. So what do you think? Would you live in a home largely manufactured in China and assembled in Australia if it met local standards, looked completely normal, and could be finished in 20 days? Or would you still prefer a house built through traditional methods? Share your opinion in the comments. And for more stories about China's factories, engineering, materials, construction technology, and the systems changing how the world builds, subscribe to the Eastern Engine channel.